What if I told you that two of the most talked about leaders in the world, Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelenskyy, hold the secret to mastering power, influence, and resilience? The catch? Their leadership styles are polar opposites. One built his empire on branding, controversy, and negotiation. The other inspired millions through authenticity, transparency, and wartime courage. So what makes a leader truly unstoppable? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll discover the one leadership trait that separates those who win from those who fade into history. History teaches us that leadership isn't about titles, it's about how you handle crisis, influence people, and adapt to chaos. That's why Trump and Zelenskyy are fascinating case studies. One thrives in uncertainty, controlling narratives to stay relevant. The other leads through sheer resilience, winning global admiration. And here's where it gets interesting. Both strategies work, but only one approach will shape the future of leadership as we know it. So let's break it down. Donald Trump didn't just become a leader, he created an identity. In the 1980s, he mastered media exposure, ensuring his name became synonymous with success. In the 2000s, he turned The Apprentice into a psychological masterclass in power dynamics. In 2016, his political campaign broke every rule, but it worked. Why? The power of perception control. Trump understood that perception shapes reality. He used polarization to command attention because controversy fuels engagement. Even his critics kept him in the news, making him impossible to ignore. Key takeaway: in leadership, control the narrative, or the narrative controls you. Now contrast that with Zelenskyy's rise. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the power of authenticity. Zelenskyy's leadership came from a place of unexpected responsibility. Before politics, he played a fictional president in a comedy series. In 2019, he ran for office as an outsider and won by a landslide. But in 2022, he faced a life-or-death leadership test. And here's where his genius became clear: the power of raw authenticity. Instead of polished speeches, he delivered unfiltered, emotional messages. Instead of hiding in a secure location, he filmed a video in Kyiv. "I am here, we will not surrender." Instead of traditional diplomacy, he leveraged social media to mobilize global support. Key takeaway: in times of crisis, people follow those who feel real. Which brings us to the real test of leadership: handling crisis. Trump, the art of power through chaos. Trump's presidency was a constant series of political battles, but that was by design. Impeachment won 2019. Instead of avoiding it, he turned it into a rallying cry. COVID-19 2020. He focused on economic messaging instead of health-first narratives. Impeachment 2 2021. Used the moment to further solidify his base. The leadership strategy: deflect, reframe, attack. He never apologized. He redefined every scandal as proof of corrupt elites against him. He kept his audience engaged through a common enemy approach. And whether you agreed with him or not, it worked. Key takeaway: controversy isn't always a weakness, if you know how to turn it into a strategy. Zelenskyy, the art of leading through action. For Zelenskyy, crisis leadership wasn't political. It was about survival. February 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, every expectation was that he'd flee. Instead, he delivered the most powerful 5 words of his presidency: "I need ammunition, not a ride." The leadership strategy: lead from the front. He stayed in Kyiv when everyone expected him to escape. He wore military fatigues instead of suits, a subtle but powerful psychological move. He used constant updates to keep morale high, securing billions in global aid. Key takeaway: real leaders don't just talk, they show up. Now here's the real secret to leadership. Neither Trump nor Zelenskyy rely on just their words, they engineer belief systems. Trump builds unwavering loyalty through identity-driven branding. Zelenskyy builds global unity through emotional resonance. And the result? Both became symbols. But what does this mean for you? If you want to lead, you must give people something to believe in. Because leadership isn't about power, it's about influence. So what can you take away from this? Control your own narrative, or someone else will. Authenticity beats perfection, especially in times of crisis. Crisis doesn't break leaders, it reveals them. Now let's talk. Which leadership style do you resonate with more? Trump's bold, high-energy approach, or Zelenskyy's raw, authentic leadership? Drop a comment below.